Hello, my friend. It's me, Danielle Frank, and it's another episode of Beauty Uncovered podcast. Recently, I was the guest on a wildly popular podcast called Art Beauty, and the host, Amber Milt, is also the senior director of video for New Beauty magazine. Now, she is exposed to all the innovative, newest trends out there in beauty. So I thought, you know what? I want to talk about anti-aging beauty secrets, like the stuff that they do in the offices, not necessarily the surgery. I don't know if I know that much about that, but I want to talk about the non-invasive. Also, yeah, she gets exposed to a lot of gadgets and gizmos, like the mask with the lights and all these different things. I want to know about them. Do they actually work? Well, she's tried it all. And yes, she's had great successes and some epic failures. And she is going to tell us all about it. And let me tell you, Amber has no problem stating her opinion. Amber, I'm excited to have this conversation because, to be honest with you, like, I do take care of my skin in some regards, some stuff in the office, some stuff at home. But you have a plethora of things that you've been using for some time, and also stuff that you do in the office that I don't use. So I want to know all about it.
Yeah. And in all fairness, I work with New Beauty, so I really have access to a lot. My podcast, which has now, we're almost 3 years old. I've been able to meet incredible people like you. So I want people at home to know a lot of this. I'm very fortunate because I get to try this stuff out. But my podcast, which is completely unsponsored, there's no payment for it, really allows me to get on and sort of talk about the products that I love, like the one that's going to be coming up with you.
Ah,
Yes.
that was fun. That was
It
fun.
was so much fun.
But I feel like, when it comes to skincare, like I said, it's great to get product information. It's great to get information from founders, from scientists, and everything like that. But in the long run, it is the end user. It is the end user and their experience with it that we want to hear. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And there's so much marketing out there. Where, I mean, I remember back in the day, and I used to work for, major broadcast stations when I first got started in beauty. And what prompted me to start my own podcast is I would go to these sort of press events, and you'd be looking at their before and after. And I'd see people from very well-respected publications who'd be like, yeah, and I'd be like, I don't see it. I don't get it. Like, are you kidding me? Like, wait, what? Like, this isn't a good change. Like, this isn't it. So yeah, I do think that there are so many things. First of all, skincare is so personal, right? Because people have different issues. We all have different lifestyles, which really lead to that. Your skin is stunning.
It's partially lighting. So,
oh yeah, honey, it's listen, good lighting is everything.
It's everything. It's everything. And I have tried to perfect the art.
I mean, but it looks glowy and healthy. And, I think that that's kind of, where we're going. Also, beauty trends are so different, right? I know that on the West Coast, like, people love to look a little bit more done. Whereas on the East Coast, people are kind of getting that, like, I want to look natural. I want to look refreshed, but I don't want anybody to know that I had filler or Botox or went and did this, laser treatment. So again, starting with that, I can talk about the things that I really love. In office, I feel like for general anti-aging, I've been able to interview like so many different doctors and derms. And one of the things that I heard about a while back was Ulthera. And Ulthera is really the gold standard of non-invasive skin tightening and lifting. And it's one of the only devices that is FDA cleared to use the term lifting. Yes, which is a big deal because you have to go through, clinical trials and medical trials and really actually prove that there is a lifting effect. And I feel like Ulthera was first introduced to people for like the under neck jowl sag.
Ooh, I need that.
And you know what? Honestly, like I didn't necessarily need it. It's expensive and it's painful. It is not comfortable.
Really?
But I was talking to my own dermatologist and he was like, absolutely. Like this, he's like, I do it once a year. And so that's my once a year treatment, but it's expensive and it's painful. And I think it's important. I've talked about it on my podcast and, you need to find a provider who you really trust. And I think with all of these, lotions and potions and treatments, at the end of the day, you have to ask a provider who you trust, what expectations are realistic for you.
Yes. And I do think having someone that has experience with doing that particular thing, right? They could be a doctor, but it doesn't matter if they're a doctor or a nurse. If they're not experienced with it, you could have problems.
Oh, I've had problems. I've had issues, and we can talk all about that. But yeah, I've had a couple issues, so number one, I always tell people, make sure you're going to a board certified, depending on the laser, I think a plastic surgeon is great. And realistically, because things can go wrong, even in the best trained hands. And I'm not trying to poo-poo med spas out there. There are so many brilliant people. In fact, on one hand, I'd rather go to an esthetician who's done 1,000 laser procedures rather than go with the top facial plastic surgeon who's doing it for the first time.
Right.
However, if and when things go wrong, you want to make sure you're with a provider who is able to fix that problem. I recently did a laser treatment that was being pitched as the alternative to Ulthera, and I got burned and scarred. So right now I'm going through microneedling to kind of repair that, and we'll see how it goes. But again, it was with a trusted provider and the technology is there. And I'm not even going to mention what it is because I don't want to deter people from that. However, you gotta, even these things that they call non-invasive, they carry risks, right? Most of these things, devices for tightening and lifting, you're causing damage to the layers of your skin underneath, trying to force your body into a repair response. So you have to kind of weigh those out.
Right.
And
to be honest with you, okay, so I'm going to tell you a secret.
Oh, give it to me. I love it.
I'm going to tell you a secret. So last week I had Spectra.
Okay. I don't know. What is Spectra?
It's basically something that is injected in, and it's to help produce collagen, right?
Oh, is it like a hyaluronic, like a filler?
No, it's something that it actually takes a few months for it to actually kind of produce the collagen that you really are looking for. It lasts for years. So I was a little nervous, but everything came out great and everything, except I am very bruised right now.
Oh,
I am wearing so much makeup and so many color correction things on me right now. Like if someone saw me without makeup, they would think that I was in a car accident.
Girl, whenever I go to get Botox, which is now every 3 months, I don't drink for a week before. And I'm convinced that when I go to my dermatologist, he's always like, wow, you look great. And it's just because I've laid off the booze for a week because I bruise so badly. Right. Well, and it's oh yeah, I look good because I'm not totally abusing my body.
Well, it's funny because I only just started doing Botox back in December
and
just had my second one. I love it. I
love it.
And when they did that, I had a teeny tiny little bruise, nothing crazy, nothing that wasn't easy to cover up. And we came to the determination, the reason why is because I didn't listen to anybody and I took Advil.
Oh, you can't do that. No, Advil,
no, I know. But you see here,
no red wine.
Yeah. I was careful, you know, but granted, I was only here for 24 hours before.
Listen, the bruises aren't going to be, it's not so much that it's dangerous. Although with certain blood thinners, you want to be careful with Botox. They have to dilute it. But it's more that you just don't want to bruise because bruises can take forever. So wait, was this really bad bruising?
It was pretty bad. It was, you could even see a tiny bit underneath.
Oh yeah. Actually, now that you're pointing it out.
Yeah, a tiny bit right there. But for the most part, under the eye and stuff like that, that's starting to diminish. Not that I had injections under the eye.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's starting to go away.
It's starting to go away.
I'm going to have to look into this because, a lot of the traditional fillers, one of the benefits is that, again, because you're causing tissue damage by way of having that injected underneath your skin, it will build collagen. Yes. Again, anything that is going to damage you is going to help to sort of stimulate that collagen repair. But you certainly want that damage to be controlled.
Now, I mean, of course, I'm very nosy. So I was, listening to doctors and everything, and them talking about this particular product and everything. And they were talking about that it was a fascinating study that was going on that was a side benefit. And I'm not saying that this is it's not what the product's for, but it was a weird side benefit that they're now going in and researching, was that, it's very deep in and it's really close to the bone. And that it was actually creating a protective layer on the bone where they found that there was less degeneration in there as the people got older. Fascinating, right?
Well, I mean, Latisse, right? Latisse was an eye medicine that they then noticed they were giving these drops to people and their lashes were phenomenal. Botox was being used in other circumstances, and they realized, wait a minute, these people have no lines on their face. So I think that a lot of these medical discoveries sort of come about and people get it is fascinating.
Well, I think the only thing that I was hesitant to go with this one is because back in the day, the formulation was actually really, really more condensed than it is now. Okay. So what was happening is that people were getting nodules that would not go away. So yeah, well, freaked me out a little bit. But then when I started doing research, because that's what I'm saying, you always, always, always research what you're doing. Always.
You have to.
As I started researching more and more, you found out that they, figured it out. They diluted it. They changed the method in which they mix it. And then the amount of times that actually happened reduced down to, I think, a 0.08%. And it turned out every single one of those people had an autoimmune disease, which was very fascinating as well.
Wow.
So yeah. But it was a very, very small.
The cool sculpting and, oh my gosh, I'm having amnesia right now, but the supermodel who had that awful reaction where it actually hardens the fat and now she's got lumps everywhere. I tell everybody, you have to be careful. I've done 2 procedures now that have really made me regret. Because, some people call and they're like, wow, you want to test this new thing for free? Very enticing. But I've learned to say no, because I've had 2 that have been, I won't say absolute disasters. I mean, I've got a scar here on my chin, which is going away with the microneedling.
I don't know. It gives you a little bit of street cred. I mean, nothing wrong with that.
No, not here. Not here. That's not on the face. Not on the face for something that, realistically, it's you don't need. And my dad always used to tell me, be careful because things can go wrong and you don't want to be kicking yourself. And I'm like, yep, right again, Dad.
Yeah.
Right again. Yeah. So any of these procedures, listen, these are ones that I like, that work for me, that have lots of research behind them. But again, you have to do your own research. Make sure that you're going to a certified professional, somebody who's done it, and make sure, it's okay to ask them, hey, how many have you done this week? How many have you done this month? Can I see the before and after results from these things? And these days you have to learn how to also kind of look at some of those before and afters, right? Good lighting. And sometimes I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it was very interesting. I was online and I was looking at a particular doctor's office that was showing examples. Because, you can go down the rabbit hole when you're looking these things up. Always and it was some doctor's office in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where it was. And I was noticing that the pictures, the after pictures were always brighter lighting.
Lighting. And some of them for the neck will be like, the before is here. And then the after, the neck is out here. And I'm like, come on. Yeah. Come on. Just come on. Which is why I love starting my podcast. Because on my podcast, I'm like,
yeah. Yeah. You have to be a skeptic, but
be a skeptic. And then listen, we did early on in my podcast, I had a co-host and we went and we did the halo laser. This is something that it is a pretty intense laser. And my face, when I say peeled, I went into the office 4 days after having this done and people were like, please get away from my coffee cup. I don't want your face falling into it. It was awful. It was awful. However, I know people who do the halo laser and live for it and love it. And maybe we just did a really strong treatment. So you can't necessarily take one person's case by case and make that our own. Again, it's so personal.
I think for me, it's ideally, I just want to make sure that it's something that's not going to cause permanent damage.
Well, and that's it. You don't You don't know. I mean, I was told with this procedure I had that they've had nobody, that I was the first one. And it's like, well, gee, thanks. And I don't believe it was the technology. I believe it was the provider. The person who did it made an oopsie. Maybe they didn't have enough of the jelly to get good contact.
It is.
Things can happen, right? There is no such thing as a totally safe, non-invasive procedure. There's just not. Everything has its risks, and you have to weigh the balance of that.
Right.
Generally, my vanity wins out.
But that's where I want to ask you about microneedling, because in all honesty, it is something that I'm really fascinated by, but I have not pulled the trigger. One, because like you said, we go on camera.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that there's going to have to be a recovery thing. So I keep on thinking, wow, so it's going to be right before I go on vacation, and then I'm going to look like a hot mess.
No. Oh my God. You can't do that before you go on vacation. Any of these things, you want to make sure that you're not going to be in the sun. In fact, just today, somebody called me and they were like, we have a new laser. We're testing it out. Can you come in the weekend before Memorial Day? And I was like, no, I can't, because,
I don't go in the sun.
But you,
I live in Florida, but I don't.
But you still, like, even with a hat, you don't want to, after you just want to be careful. Right. Microneedling to me. So I tried it for the first time this December. I was mixed on it. And this is me going back to my old school days when I used to work for Murad. And we were talking about, do you remember those apricot scrubs of our youth?
Oh yeah. Like St. Ives.
That we loved, right? Like I love that thing. And what they found is like, it's really bad for your skin because it's causing micro tears. Whereas, so I was like really hesitant about microneedling. Also, from what I've seen, microneedling is really good for textural problems. So if you have acne scarring, microneedling is incredible. For general anti-aging, to me, again, this is my own personal opinion, I think that there are better ways to stimulate collagen production, like the Ulthera, or like getting fillers, or certain lasers that are better, in my opinion, for me and my type of skin. I think microneedling is really great. I started doing it to raise the scar, and it made a huge difference. But you have to go through a couple of them. It's not super painful. Now, I've done microneedling both with RF radio frequency, which is not comfortable, because it's kind of like, imagine like a staple gun kind of stapling your face while at the same time zapping you a little bit. Regular microneedling, where they're sort of running the pen over, which is what I had done to help this part of my chin. My skin looked nice afterwards. And they used exosomes, which are really supposed to boost that repair response. Would I do that normally? I don't know. I think if you've got textural problems, like I said, if you've got acne scars, if you have scars from a laser gone wrong, it can be really good for that.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Because like I said, I hear all about the anti-aging, and I sit there and I'm like, I mean, my skin is not that bad. I got a couple of things. I have a scar in the corner of my mouth from chicken pox.
Right. And so that, for the scarring, it could be really, really good.
Yeah.
Again, you're causing micropunctures into your face and you bleed. So it's like doing the vampire facial, right? You're going to be bloody. You want to make sure you don't drink before. No blood thinners, no vitamin E.
Can you drink after?
I did.
Well, there you go.
I did.
She's like, I'm not sure if that's why I got the results I got, but
I did. Well, at this point, I'd already had the scar. So I'm like, how much worse? And no, my skin looked better. But in terms of it was minimal downtime on both occasions. I left with the RF. I had no bleeding, and it was, or very minimal bleeding, and I was pink. I could have put on a product like Oxygenetics, which is foundation that was developed totally breathable for after procedure, and been fine. When I did microneedling, I came back and I was pink that night, but I sat on my couch and I watched some TV, so it didn't really matter. But the next day I was fine. So I think for you, being somebody who's on camera, you don't want to do it right before a show, but give yourself 24 hours. 24 hours should be okay, as long as you don't have super sensitive skin and you don't take anything that you shouldn't.
Right. No Advil. No.
No Advil.
No Advil.
No Advil. Definitely no Advil.
So, I mean, from there, I mean, okay, so we talked about a little bit about Ulthera
yes.
and also the microneedling.
Yes. And although I have to say too, going back to that, because I did an episode on this and my mother called me immediately and was like, should I get this? And I want to say that Ulthera is going to stimulate your body's own natural collagen production. We know that declines with age. Now, my mother, who's in her 70s, I said to her, again, Mom, go speak to your local, dermatologist, plastic surgeon. But I don't believe you're going to get the results that you want because your collagen is not going to rejuvenate the way mine is going to in my 40s. And not to sound like a total what, but it's just you're not going
reality.
And it's expensive and it's painful. I mean, it's really painful. So I was like,
fun.
Mm.
But you did say that that's the one that improves
the neck. Yeah. It's incredible. I mean, it really can if you've got the sagging gels, but again, if you have the collagen to support it. So you need to go talk to your doctor and say, hey, is this right for me?
Yeah. I'm going to have to think about that one.
Yeah. If you're somebody who's going to like sit out in the sun, if you're somebody who smokes all the time, if you're somebody who does these things that are going to break down your collagen anyway, you'll have results, but they might be, we're talking millimeters, not inches.
Right.
Same with all the body contouring, right? We're going into summer now and there's so many different non-invasive body contouring. And listen, I've seen them. I've done them. Do they work?
Those I feel like I have such skepticism about.
Well, here's the thing. We're talking millimeters, not inches, right? So the M Sculpt, which was what the first muscle tightening, I did that. And I'll tell you, when I was I did an entire series, I think it was like 8 sessions. I hate Pilates. I hate doing any sort of exercise. But was I stronger? Absolutely. Could I finally do things? Could I make it through a Pilates class without wanting to kill myself? Yes. Did I have a 6-pack? No, because I love cookies. I mean, it's just not going to happen, right? Like if you've got a layer of fat underneath, but you see all these fitness influencers who now have 6-packs. And I think it really is, again, about managing expectations and knowing your body.
Right. No, that makes sense. I used to be in the fitness industry.
Okay.
For a good 20 years, actually. And I always kid around, you have to pay me to work out because otherwise I ain't doing it.
Right. So, I only work out so I can eat those said cookies. Yeah.
I know it's hard, but I mean, that's probably one of the reasons I have so much skepticism to a lot of these, not like no judgment to anyone that wants to do it. It's just, I see very small incremental things that a person can do that would have probably even a bigger result in the long run. It's just the only thing is that I will say it is spot and fitness is not spot, no matter how much, It
is, and at the end of the day, here's the thing. You're never going to get in a bottle what you can get in or even from an at-home device that you're going to get in the office that you're going to get from a knife. And when people talk about non-invasive body contouring, I think it's really, I do believe it does work. There is potential for fat reduction. However, if you are not going to adopt a healthy lifestyle, it's not going to work. And honestly, if you start to add up the cost, it might be better to just go get liposuction. And I hate to say that, right? Depending on what your realistic expectations are, it might be better to save up and go get the procedure, like liposuction, which is going to have a definite, noticeable result. But if you're like, I'm okay if it's just like my jeans fit, it's not going to be 2 sizes. Like maybe they fit a little better. I also think there is a psychological effect when you're spending that kind of money on a series because they cost thousands of dollars. You're going to be healthy in other ways, right? If I'm investing, a couple $1,000s to go do this ab procedure, at least for those 8 weeks, I'm going to be really rethinking that cookie or that glass of wine or, that bread and olive oil when I go out to eat.
See, you're good. I wouldn't.
Right. Well,
be like cookie.
and I do, which is why I'm like, you know what, for me, again, in a personal thing, like at some point, like I'm going to get liposuction. They can do amazing things right now because there's certain ways like that. It's just not going to, I'm a big believer in like these tweakments that you can do. Yeah. I think recovery times are great. I think the technology keeps getting better. I'd like to take it out of my stomach and like inject it into other places. You know, I go down to go. Will I really do it? I don't know. I don't know because,
you know, it's so funny because, you know, I have 3 boys, all of them ginormous. And
God bless you.
I feel like, you know, it's funny because for the most part, we all have those things about our body that we either love or we hate. I am definitely not the same as I was when I was in my 20s and I was fit and I was like a 15% body fat and, you know, doing all these things. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like totally okay with it. Like I'm actually like kind of comfortable with where I'm at. But there is like, it's kind of like one of those things when you have certain aspects. And for me, it's my lower tummy because, you know, of
because you created life 3 times, right? Yeah.
Large children. Like I have a 12-year-old that's the same height as me and I'm 5'8". Like, how is that even possible? Like I got big kids.
Right.
But the point is that it makes me understand it a little bit because I am a person that likes to think, you know, just embrace who you are. You know, every single person is uniquely beautiful. But with that being said, you know, in our head, we have a certain vision of who we are. And that's why I kind of feel like sometimes those kind of things are great if what's going on is not matching the vision of who you think you are. I think it's important.
I'm going to share a personal story and you can stop me because I don't want to totally derail this conversation.
No,
but
I'll
try to give you the abridged version. I've always had issues with my body because I'm a human, right? And a woman. But I've always been pretty okay with it. And I always loved my breast. I did. And fast forward, I guess in my early 30s, I got married, tried to have kids. It wasn't working. I went through 5 rounds of IVF unsuccessfully. And part of that process over 5 years was I really started to hate my body because it wasn't doing what it was put on this earth to do, which was to reproduce and create human life. And I really had a very negative view of myself. And so during early, the pandemic hit and I was like, you know what? I came to peace after a couple more years of like, maybe children aren't in the cards for me. And I really, really came to peace with that. I really, really did. But I was like, you know what? I want to do something to celebrate my body. And I would look in the mirror and like, I'd always loved my breasts in a push-up bra. They were phenomenal. But I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do something to like, so that when I look in the mirror again, not even being picky, I just relate to that person I was prior to this whole IVF nonsense. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I decided to get a breast lift. And let me tell you, it was the best thing that I've ever done. I think that plastic surgery in the right hands for the right reasons is a wonderful, wonderful tool. And I will never look back. And I didn't do it for my husband, who thought I was equally, who was like, you're crazy if you want. Actually, he didn't say that. He was like, whatever you want to do, but you definitely don't need this. But let me tell you, it wasn't this life-changing. My boobs look exactly the same as they did 15 years ago. So I didn't go bigger. I didn't change size. They just kind of lifted them and put them back where they were. Right. But it gave me such a new love affair. I have a new love affair with my body because for me, I feel so much better. Right. And it was a way that I could celebrate this instead of like turning back the clock. So I think when it comes to aging, you know, we talk so much about anti-aging. I like to think about it as like aging beautifully and aging gracefully. Like, you know, what can we do? We're going to get older. That's a gift.
Oh gosh. Yeah. It's a privilege. You know, it's an absolute privilege that we get to get older. I think it's very funny that you're saying, because I relate, I mean, in a certain way. I mean, I was always against doing Botox or fillers or anything like that, because I was like, you know what, hey, you know, this is life. This is, you know, your skin changes, your face changes and everything like that. But I actually, you know, I came out of a very disastrous, abusive 20-year marriage. And I felt as though some of my youth was stolen from me, like the body, like as if like I felt like I came out of it haggard. And that I'm sure there's people that be like, no, Danielle, you know, and all this stuff. And I understand that, but there is this part of me that just wants to feel that when I see myself in the mirror for just a few more minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not looking to change my face. I'm just looking to let it look a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, in the same breath, do I feel it's terrible that somebody wants to change something? No, I don't. That's their vision for themselves. And I think that's where it's really interesting. I relate to what you're saying so much. It's kind of turning back the time that was lost. And just remind yourself of who you are, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many different ways that you can do that, whether it is, like you said, working out or starting a better routine or meditating, or looking at things that you can do at home, getting great hair products, doing a hair mask. You know, these are all things that we can do.
That, like, at you know, because I turned 50 this year and I swore I was going to celebrate all year. And I keep on saying, oh yeah, I'm going to start working out.
Yeah. Tomorrow. That's, do you know the most popular day to start a diet? Tomorrow, right? Yeah. Listen, it happens.
I mean, no, I've been really great with my food. Have been trying to eat better, not necessarily with the coffee. I still drink a lot of coffee, but I'm starting to make better choices. I'm just like incrementally, but the exercise thing has not been my friend yet.
Which is fine. You know what? Because at some point it will be, you know, or maybe it won't be, but people think of exercise and listen, you were fitness as like, I have to get out and like lift 20-pound weights. And I'm like, just move.
Yeah.
Start small because eventually the walking.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than not taking the dog for a walk. And I believe like I injured myself. I like to work out. It's a good thing for my own mental. And I injured myself. I couldn't work out for a month. So I got back in just yesterday.
Nice.
But I was working out with like 5-pound weights. Now 5-pound weights are like, wah, 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 for me at the point that
but it's frustrating, right?
It was, but I also said to myself, do it with the 5-pound because you are coming back from an injury and you couldn't, I couldn't lift anything with my arms. So and small increments are better than no increments. So I'd rather be lifting my 5-pound weights. And I felt great afterwards than just doing nothing at all.
True. I mean, at least I go for walks. That's something.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, we did get derailed. I'm not having a problem with it though.
I'm sorry. I know. I just love, I love beauty, but I love talking about beauty.
So I'm like laughing because here's real life interrupting. There's like this little moth or something that decided to come and visit. It keeps on going past the camera. I'm like, this is bothering.
Well, because it's been thinking about getting Ulthera as well. And it just wants to know.
It needs to be in the know. It has to be the fly on the wall.
You know, there you go.
Okay. Let's talk about some of your favorite things to do at home and I want to start with that light mask because I see it on TikTok. Like my listeners know that I have a slight, weird, odd obsession with TikTok.
Yes.
I just will like zone out on it before I go to bed. And then I wind up going to bed way too late.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing a lot of people with that mask. And every time I see it, they never explain what it is.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, this is the Adoro. It's an LED light face mask. And so, like I said, I've been really skeptical of things in general. I don't get paid by any of these companies. I'm just sharing the stuff that I love, but I was like, really? And then I started doing research and LED light. I mean, if you think about it like plants, right? Plants live off of light, but LED light can penetrate the skin at certain angle, at certain nanometers and certain wavelengths. And, cause our mitochondria to get active and cause the cells to start to be, that might be a little bit more dormant, to start acting in the way they should, essentially kickstarting your cells at regenerating themselves. So this mask, which my husband loves when I wear it, I love this one because it comes, did I not? No, I did charge it. So I don't know if you can see this, but it's totally portable. It looks amazing. And this one has 7 different lights. I look crazy, right?
It is the most amazingly scary and awesome thing I've ever seen
It is.
in my life.
My husband laughs all the time when I put this on. But I like this one because it has, which are kind of hard to see here. It's got a red light setting. It's got a blue light setting. Blue light is really great for acne.
Oh,
red is really.
I thought it was just like, whatever mood you were in.
No, well, I mean, but this one is like, it'll go through them. This has a wrinkle reducer, an acne buster, a skin balancer, a red away, radiant skin. And listen, do the research. It's out there, but this is technology that was discovered by NASA, and the LED light therapy has become so popular because it works. However, not all devices are created equal. So Adoro is actually a manufacturer for a lot of the other brand name devices. But they're proven. And here's the thing I'll tell you, look for clinical trials, look for clinical research. Whenever you're going to do any sort of procedure, look for those clinicals. And so Adoro has so much research on their website and proof of work. But I'll tell you, LED lights, anti-aging is a really hard thing to quantify, especially when it's our cells. So I was using this religious. Now, this is a 20-minute treatment. I think with acne, if you have acne, people talk about blue light and that it's like super, super helpful. So I think that's something that's much easier to see. I have acne now. My acne flare-ups are less, or they're not as severe. That's way easier to measure. And I know people who love blue light therapy. It helps with antibacterial. So that's something. If you have acne, I think LED lights are definitely for you. If you've got a little bit of extra money to spend, because these devices aren't cheap. I think this one's $400.
Wow.
Actually, it's $319. It has all of these different settings. But what I like about this one is you can put it on. It's totally portable.
Nice.
Okay, so now in the new beauty testing, I was sent this device by DPL, which is like FDA cleared medical device. I don't have it plugged in. So normally I keep it right over there by my couch because it has to be plugged in. So I can't show you. It's clunky, but this is 3 minutes.
Oh, see, yeah, I don't have patience for 20 minutes.
20 minutes. But the nice thing with a 20-minute is you can watch TV. So the one thing with the LED lights is they give you goggles. You don't need to wear them. It actually will not sort of degenerate your eyes. You might take it off and see a little bit like nutso for a minute. But I'll do it when I'm watching TV with my husband laughing at me the whole way. So I can't say that I had a huge, wow, all my wrinkles went away. The fine lines are better, but I will tell you, I was using it religiously for about 2 months. And then I stopped for 2 months. And it could be any number of reasons, but I definitely felt like my skin was not looking as good as it did. So I'm back on it. So that's my only sales. You have to do the research for yourself, but I do believe that the red light, doctors swear by it.
Well, isn't that the same with any kind of skincare? I find that, we were talking earlier about the fact that, what skincare we use. And I often use Kate Somerville. The Kate Ceuticals. I've been using it for over a year.
Yeah.
But in between, like when I would run out, I had other brands and they were great brands.
Right.
And I would be like, why am I going to buy more of the Kate Ceuticals? I got this great thing. I'm going to go ahead and use it, and it was good. But I did start to see like, I was noticing things like, my skin's not quite where it was. So I will cave and I'll go get the whole set.
Yeah.
And then I would start using it and I'll be like, oh yeah, now I remember why I love it. And then I would get to the end and they'll be like, oh, look, I've got these other products. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like I never learned.
Secret too. Not like just because it's an expensive skincare doesn't always mean it's the best.
Right. No, and I agree.
I've got friends who swear by La Mer, but when you really start to dig into the ingredients of La Mer, like it's mineral oil. And it's not that far off. And there's so many research that it's like, is Nivea, La Mer, their composition is very similar. La Mer is going to have a lot more high quality ingredients, but I always tell people, so for me, even with my skincare, I want something that has clinical results. I want something, so La Mer will not share their clinicals. I want something that has some clinical results behind it because I'm a person now who it's like, I'm in my 40s and I want to make sure that this investment that I'm making in my skincare and in my time is going to work, or at least there's some research to show that it's going to work. But I tell people all the time, if your self-care moment is going in at night and patting on that La Mer and you've got the money to spend on it, do it, sister. Like if that is your thing, who am I to say it's not? People love it. For me, it's greasy and it makes me break out.
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the interesting things about clinicals and making sure that you have a product that actually can do what they say it can do.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know, at least in the hair industry, I don't know how it is in the rest of the beauty industry. It's not as regulated about claims and whatnot. Like the claims that you do and whether or not it actually matches with what you do. There is a lot of companies that will claim they can do something and really there's nothing there. Yeah.
Well, like lifting is the fact that Ulthera was able to say we have a lifting, that was a huge claim that they were able to make. Because certain beauty products if they're not cosmeceuticals, if they're not medical grade. So these devices here are medical grade devices. They have to be FDA regulated. A lot of skincare does not. And you've seen now, one of the benefits of all of these beauty lovers out there is that they have forced companies to really make sure that their claims are legit and backed up. But again, I worked in this industry so long. So when you're doing clinical claims and they're doing something like a punch biopsy. So like a punch biopsy, I actually just am doing something with Dr. Dennis Gross right now and his peel pads. And I liked them and they've got a huge cult following, but he's got some incredible research coming out, which we're going to talk about in my next new beauty show, where he did punch biopsies of the skin and actually measured certain markers of pro-collagen and other different markers within the skin, levels of the skin's thickness. So that's not something that we're doing. It's not like a visual trial where, a lot of the clinicals would be 96% of consumers said they felt like their skin looked better.
I think there's some validity in some of that, but
there is.
But you have to have other stuff that actually.
I look for the science that's like, okay, he just did a punch biopsy of people's skin across using this certain product, and it was incredible. I mean, the increase in pro collagen was amazing. Filagrins. So there was all of this actual clinical data that you can't fake. That was like, wow, this is really going to help your skin.
Wow. We'll have to look out for that episode. So what else you had? I think you had one more.
I have a couple more, but if you're interested and you see anything here you like, just write me. Retinol. For me, my go-to is retinol. I think that is another gold standard across the board, but people have such a hard time with introducing retinol into their routines because it can be irritating. And you have to really, it has to be like a slow grow. And so when we were doing testing for the New Beauty Wars, I got this device from Opulus and I was like, this is so gimmicky. What it is it comes, it's this little device and you get these little pods and you can see here, it was like halfway through. And then I went on
like coffee pods or coffee shops.
They're like little tiny pods and they're, essentially it's like a treatment. They call it a restore. And then there's the retinol. Okay. And they have outlined for you, start here and day 1, use this pod, day 2, use this pod. So they've made it foolproof on which days. So you're slowly introducing the retinol, but the little pods go into this little device. And again, I was like, this is so gimmicky. This is one of those devices now that I'm like, oh my God, I love because it heats up that little pod. That little pod is a pure active so that there's no water in it. You're getting pure actives and you're putting it on warm. And to me, I'm like, they need to take this little device and develop everything for it. Because if you've never washed your face and put on warm, like body temperature, warm, actually it's not, it's like warmer than that, warm skincare on your face at night. It is like so divine, but I do like it because I'd stopped retinol over the summer and I was able to reintroduce it into my routine again with zero irritation.
I am that dork that didn't realize that there was like a potential adverse. I must have been lucky because I just dove into it.
Oh, did you? I mean, it's one of those things. My mother, again, tried it and it literally burned her skin. And I was like, Mom, you have to listen to me. You can't. And again, some of this is going to depend. You in your 50s have thicker skin than my mother does in her 70s.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think that it makes sense because I mean, it's like you said, everybody has different type of skin. Everybody has different sensitivities. I mean, you just never know what you're going to react with. I'm just laughing because I'm like, oh my goodness, that could have been a disaster.
It could have been a disaster, you know, and you have to wear your sunscreen and, you know, thank goodness it wasn't.
That I didn't know.
But retinol is it's a really good product for that general anti-aging. It's going to help with the texture. It's going to help with the fine lines. It's going to help with the wrinkles. You just need to do it in the right way.
All right. That's good to know.
And sunscreen. That would be my last thing.
Oh, I was going to say sunscreen.
My overall beauty deal is like 90% of visible aging comes from sun damage. So
what is your favorite sunscreen for your face? Because that's the thing. I find that like not all sunscreen are the same, especially when you're putting it on your face.
So I love Supergoop's Unseen sunscreen.
I've tried that.
It is a silicone base. So people who are like, I don't want silicones, I respect you. I just love it because it goes on, because not like, I'd say 5 out of 7 days, I try to have on no makeup and, you know, I'm in my sweats working from home. So when I have to get done up, sure, but I will put that on every morning. It has a lovely matte effect. And because it's invisible, I like the texture, I like the feel. I wear it literally every day, even when I'm not leaving.
Because there's a struggle if you do have to wear makeup and stuff like that to find one that is not going to interfere with things, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So again, too, when I wear makeup, that is my favorite base because of the silicone. It's like a primer. Right. So your makeup is going to go on beautifully. It's not going to pill. Yeah. And I just love it. And you can reapply it on top of makeup and it's not chalky. It's kind of just like adding another layer, but people have real problems with silicone. So I think if you're a person who doesn't like silicones, that's not going to be for you. I also like Glow Skin Beauty has, they just launched a Sea Shield tinted moisturizer with SPF 30 and it's a mineral, but it's beautiful. It just won a new beauty award because it's so beautiful.
Do you know what's my favorite Glow product? And I have a few favorites from them.
Okay.
My favorite one, and like, oh my gosh, I don't remember the name of it, but it's like a lip balm that has like a,
is it the barrier balm?
I'm not sure. It almost has like a little texture in it for kind of exfoliate, but also it brings out the natural color. It has like some kind of acidity or something like that. And it brings out the natural color of your lips. It just enhances it. And I love it. So it's like, it goes on like it's chapstick.
I'm calling them immediately after this and being like, what is this miracle product? I'm going to have to go in
the bathroom and look it up. I have to look at it. But in fact, I've gotten to the point where it's like a nub and I'm like scraping it out now. I have to go back over to Sephora and go get it. But oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. When I had them on, actually it was like a year ago this week, I had them on and that's when they mentioned it to me. And I'm like, what is this magic?
They make really good. Oh, and I don't do facials. We were kind of talking about this before the show. I personally don't like people touching my face. I don't like, it's not that they're not good. They're great. For me, I just don't like that. But Glow Skin Beauty has peels in a box that they created during, as a response to COVID, when their professionals couldn't be offering their services at home, the clients needed something, and their peels are insane. It took me 6 months to work up the nerve to try it because I was thinking like, I'm forever scarred with like that Samantha Jones wearing the mask, like a peel. No, these are very effective, but mild peels. And they give you everything you need, right down to the headband. They give you all of the accessories. So a peel in a box from them is amazing.
Very nice. The one thing that I do, and I'm terrible when it comes to name, it's from Ordinary and it's this red, it looks like a little vial of blood.
Okay.
And it's like a peel, but it's a very gentle one. And so I use it maybe once a week. And okay, should I just tell you what we usually call it? Like it's like the virgin blood. It's like virgin blood on the face. It literally does look like you're putting blood on your face. But you do have to take it off within 10 minutes or you're going to burn yourself, you know.
Got it.
But wow. It wasn't expensive. It was really relatively inexpensive.
Yeah.
But my friend who was an esthetician actually recommended it and said, no, this is a really good product. I'm like, all right.
I wasn't like a huge, exfoliation is key, right? You need exfoliation and protection. And those are two things, and hydration.
Right.
That's really your key steps for skincare. I wasn't a huge peel person. I always liked the Dr. Dennis Gross, but when I just saw this research that came out, I've been using them every single night.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a huge fan of peels in the sense of they're a little aggressive.
Yeah.
I've had one peel, like a chemical peel once, and your skin is scaling off like a snake. It wasn't horrible, but it was what it was. And my skin was amazing afterwards. But I have a stubborn sunspot. I call it my soccer mom one.
It's right here too.
Yeah, it's right here. It's from driving in the driver's seat.
And it's where your sunglasses don't, it's right. I have the same one, sister. Yeah. I do. IPL. Yep. IPL is like great for that. Intense pulse light. So that's an in-office procedure. You don't want to do it now. Wait until the fall, because that sun damage it'll honestly come back. So IPL,
we did the peeling and it disappeared. I mean, it hurt like I didn't like that. But it was pretty effective. It actually lightened it significantly, where it wasn't popping up when I had makeup. But over the course of a couple of years, it started coming back. And that's where you're like, why don't you just put a little on there? It has lightened a little bit, but it's not aggressive.
So a peel is going to sort of work from the top down, where IPL is going to work from the inside out. And that's actually going to break apart that melanin. So that essentially it won't come back, depending on how much damage you have there. Those sunspots, they can be hard to get rid of. But IPL to me is another thing and it's not that super expensive, that every fall I'm like, yep.
I gotta look into it.
Oh my gosh. If you've never had it, it's the best. Because it's like IPL is designed to get rid of brown. There's certain lasers that can also target red, but IPL is amazing. It's a little, it's like a rubber band snapping. It's like laser hair removal. Okay. So very tolerable, but what will happen is they will, the brown spots will actually, over the course of the next 2 or 3 days, come to the surface. It'll look like almost like they call it coffee grinds. And that really is a great way to describe it. It looks like it gets darker. So if you do it, I don't want you calling me and be like, damn you, Amber, it got worse.
I'm telling you, Amber, like it would have to be in the winter. I live in Florida.
But yes, you just don't want to do it if you're going to be like out in the sun.
Yeah, I never am.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think
otherwise I would look like leather if I was always in the sun.
Yeah.
I
tell people just to wait until the fall, because you're probably not going to be outside as much.
Right.
But IPL is absolutely great because it will actually break apart the melanin. After a few days, it sloughs off. And for those pesky spots, like to me, that's the end all be all.
This was the most fun conversation I've had in a long time. Thank you so much.
Thanthis
was awesome. I learned so much
some information out there. Again, I'm not a medical professional, so always make sure to consult a doctor before you do any of this.
Come and check out her podcast, because quite frankly, I mean, you want to have these kinds of conversations, very candid, and finding out what's the newest thing out there.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I do interview a lot of doctors. So, we cover some really, really interesting topics. But if anybody ever wants to reach out to me on social media at Amber Milt or at Art Beauty Podcast, I respond. I love interacting with the community. So if you've got questions, I'm happy to answer them from my own knowledge, or certainly pass you along to the people who can do that. And by the way, do you know this is my first podcast that I've ever been a guest on?
Shut the front door.
I know.
Shut the front door.
I was so excited about that. Thank you. I feel so honored. I'm like, nobody's ever asked me to be on there.
I was ever a guest on a podcast, I thought I was going to have an anxiety attack, because it's like, it's different when you're in the driver's seat.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, we could talk about anything. I had stuff here, but I'm like, if we go somewhere else, we can do that.
I'm so grateful. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so wonderful. I loved being on with you. And don't forget, everybody, check out the podcast with Danielle that we did on Art Beauty Podcast.
Definitely, because we dive into it, people. We dive into it. All right. Well, thank you so much. And everybody be sure to go and take a look at everything that she has out there. Our beauty podcast, which is amazing, great guests, great information. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.